May the peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah be upon you. Welcome. If this is your first time here, I invite you to join this journey by subscribing to the channel. We do things differently here. What you are about to hear are Islamic songs, but completely stripped of music. No instruments, just pure voice and raw truth. My goal isn't to entertain you. It is to challenge you, to make you pause, and to invite you into deep reflection. You can listen to or purchase these tracks on YouTube, iTunes, Apple Music, and all other major platforms. My songs are my stories. Right now, I have released 6 tracks, with many more coming soon. Each one explores a different side of our reality. Weaver of the Green, where science and faith meet. We know the sun is our source of energy, but Allah is the ultimate creator and judge. Even in nature, where lions hunt deer, true justice will be served. Legend of Tin Corey, the story of a man driven by deep imagination. The Uber and Lyft driver, a look into the everyday struggles of drivers who deserve fairness and judgment. The beggar's plea, a desperate cry for help and mercy. The shadows of the lecture hall and the shadows of the rope, 2 tracks that look directly into painful, heavy truths we often ignore. These stories span 6 languages: English, Arabic, Spanish, Bangla, French, Hindi, and Urdu. They are born from a collection of over 50 poems and 3 upcoming Islamic fiction books. 2 are comedies: The Metaphoric Man and The Guidance. The third, The Chaos in Life, is the heartbreaking story of a girl, a narrative where reality is far more shocking than anyone could imagine. These books serve as blueprints for 10 full-length feature films. They are visionary projects waiting for the right investors to bring them to the silver screen. But today, we need to talk about a deeper reality. We need to strip away the distractions and look closely at a pressing issue. Please share this video on Facebook and other social platforms to help spread this knowledge. Let's begin. The crisis within, deception, division, and the ruin of the Muslim world. The Muslim world is facing an unprecedented crisis. From the ruins of Syria and Yemen to the devastation in Gaza and the shattered communities of Iraq, the scale of destruction is heartbreaking. We must look past the surface and ask the difficult question: what is the true cause of this widespread ruin? Our adversaries have planned this devastation. They believe that by wiping out wealth and enforcing poverty, they can permanently disable the Muslim community. In such a critical moment, the wisest path is to calculate every step with absolute precision. We must prioritize saving lives over entering hopeless conflicts. Today, we face a definitive choice. Do we prioritize saving Muslim lives, or do we pursue a version of freedom that leaves thousands dead? I have detailed these exact warnings in my book, The Devil's Whispers. The Unholy Alliance. It sounds unbelievable, but predominantly Sunni regions have been destroyed with the help of self-proclaimed Sunni leaders. The leadership of Iran has successfully convinced many Sunni Muslims that it stands as the sole shield against Zionism. Driven by a deep desire to resist oppression, many Sunnis have blindly offered their support. But we must look at the facts. The Ayatollahs of Iran are Shia. Historically, the relationship between Shia and Sunni factions has been defined by deep division, mistrust, and conflict. Yet, certain Sunni groups have allowed Iran to lead them directly toward their own destruction. Take Bangladesh, for example. Despite being a major Sunni nation, Iran receives massive public support there, often surpassing the support given to traditional Sunni countries like Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states. Islamic scholars, including Drive, Shahidullah Madani, have noted this shocking shift in public sentiment. It defies logic. Why would a Sunni population align itself with a Shia power center? It is as if a deceptive force has manipulated the collective mindset, blinding people to reality. The reality of the Gaza tragedy. The painful truth is that we are destroying ourselves from within. Hypocrites walk among us, hiding behind religious clothing and prestigious Islamic titles. Let us look at Gaza objectively. The current tragedy was initiated by Hamas, who created a situation that invited an overwhelming and catastrophic retaliation. No one can deny that the targeting of civilians provided the pretext for the near-total destruction of Gaza, resulting in the loss of over 60,000 lives, countless injuries, and widespread starvation. Tragically, much of the world views Hamas as saviors. The reality is different. Their actions created the conditions for this catastrophe. And behind Hamas stands Iran. The people of Gaza are Sunni, yet their leadership traded sectarian loyalty for Iranian funding, leading their own people into ruin. A personal encounter with betrayal. This deception is not just political, it is personal. To ensure my book, The Devil's Whispers, was free of errors. I sought the help of an Islamic scholar. On Fiverr, I hired a mufti from Bangladesh named Muhammad Ali, who operates under the profile name, Arabic Mohammed. He claimed credentials from the prestigious Hafizari Madrasa in Chittagong and serves as a khatib at Al-Masjid Al-Jami. Instead of fulfilling his duties, he sought to deceive me. Why would a religious scholar do this? My assessment is clear. He is affiliated with a political faction aligned with Iran. Like many others, he has elevated political figures to a status that belongs only to God, falling into the trap of polytheism, shirk. This brings us to an urgent question for the community. Can we rightfully offer our prayers behind a khatib who has compromised his faith for political alignment with a hostile sectarian power? Find the answers of the questions. And think. Take a break. Listen to an Islamic song.
The prophet spoke of days of old, of prophecies that now unfold. The followers of Jesus fell, in 72 groups they dwell. Our ummah splits by human pride, in 73 sects nationwide. A single group will find the grace to look upon the sacred face. Yet crowded masjids fill the land, like shifting grains of desert sand. The rows are long, the voice is loud, but faith is absent in the crowd. The holy words of light and grace no longer leave a shining trace. The Quran lies upon the shelf, while people only serve the self. The clear hadith no longer sparks, a living flame in frozen hearts. In Gaza now, the coins of gold have caused a nation to be sold. The foreign wealth from Tehran's hand has spread a darkness through the land. They sold their faith for earthly gain and bought a heritage of pain. They profess to fear the one unseen, yet bow before a worldly king. Though many hold a high degree, their blind devotion cannot see. They join partners with the Lord of Might and turn their mourning into night. They took the rulers as their God. Upon a path of shame they trod. A leader rose with promises grand, but brought disaster to his land. He bowed before the Terran throne and left his grieving flock alone. An alliance built on golden light has brought a shadow to the skies. The tyrant struck with iron fire to build a massive smoking pyre. The ruins fall, the children weep, while broken vows the leaders keep. In Bangladesh the story breathes, where scholars sow corrupted seeds. The hypocrites have grown in might and block the pure celestial light. The pious few are pushed away as wolves control the coming day. A mufti promised words of gold, a brilliant book to be unrolled. He asked for time, he made excuse, and put his calling to misuse. A house repair, a surgeon's knife, a web of falsehoods in his life. The truth I wrote provoked his rage. He tore the meaning from the page. Because I spoke of foreign gold, his bitter malice did unfold. He fears the rulers of the earth and values not his spiritual birth. He looks to men and fears their frown, and casts his holy garment down. But Allah knows what hearts conceal, and every secret will reveal. The golden coins will turn to dust. In Allah only place your trust. The sacred warnings from the past are true, as faith is lost among the crowded few. The false leaders sell their souls for gold, while heavy shadows on the world unfold. But Allah sees the secrets of the mind, and leaves the blind hypocrites behind.
How was the song? Hope you listened in carefully and understand it. Now come to the topic. Deception by the Islamic scholars. The politics of deception. Part 1. The search for truth. Every day, millions of people look to religious leaders for truth. I used to be one of them. At the time, I was writing a book. It wasn't about theology, it was about the harsh reality of modern politics. I wanted to expose how international players, specifically the government of Iran, have driven the tragedy and destruction we see in Gaza today. Since I want to be a political analyst and not a religious scholar, I needed help. I needed an Islamic scholar to ensure the Quran and Hadith references were perfectly accurate. I thought I found the right partner on Fiverr, a religious leader named Mufti Muhammad Ali. I trusted him. I believed a man of his standing would act with integrity and the fear of God. Instead, I walked straight into a calculated trap. Part 2. The stalling and the shift. My instructions from day one were crystal clear. Before him, I worked with a writer from Pakistan who lost interest because the text became too focused on religion. I handed that incomplete draft to the Mufti with a strict warning: do not use this. The quality is poor. Read my outline, understand my vision, and start fresh. He agreed. Then, the stalling began. For 4 long months, the excuses piled up. First, he just needed a little more time. Then, he had a medical operation. Next, he was building a house. He kept dragging his feet, and I soon realized why. The real shift happened when he started demanding that I delete the core message of my book. He wanted every single political critique wiped out. He argued that politics and Islam cannot be separated, yet he wanted to silence my political analysis. The truth simply conflicted with his hidden loyalties. Part 3. The mask falls. The breaking point came when real-world events matched the warnings in my manuscript. In my writing, I argued that to stop the cycle of violence, the world had to target the architects of the conflict. I specifically suggested strikes against the leadership in Iran. Just 2 weeks later, headlines shocked the world. A real-world strike targeted and eliminated Ayatollah Khamenei in his own quarters. That was the moment the masks came off. In Bangladesh, members of the Jamaat-e-Islami political party rushed to the Iranian embassy to mourn his death. For these leaders, Khamenei was not just a politician, he was an idol. Many of these modern scholars dream of holding that exact same absolute, autocratic power. When the Mufti realized I would never back down, compromise, or delete my political chapters, he snapped. He hurled foul insults at me, language completely forbidden for a Muslim. Then came the final betrayal. After 4 months of waiting, his final delivery on Fiverr was a lazy copy-paste job of the exact Pakistani draft I told him never to use. It wasn't just a bad job. It was a complete fraud. The root of the problem. How does a man of religion sink to this level of deceit? The answer lies in the toxic political environment of our educational institutions. Madrasas and Islamic institutes should be forging true scholars of the faith. Instead, political bias is turning them into places that produce ideological idolaters. These people look at the sky and cannot see how sustenance comes from Allah. But they look at foreign powers like Iran, see the funding flowing in, and suddenly they find their God. Their money comes from earthly regimes, so their loyalty belongs to earthly regimes. They have traded the commands of Allah for the commands of human political figures. History repeats itself. During the liberation war of Bangladesh, we saw opportunists betray their own people, choosing political alliances over justice and slaughtering innocent citizens. Today, we face a similar breed of deceivers. They wear the robes of scholars, they lead the prayers as imams, but their hearts belong to political empires. The ultimate question. This brings us to a critical question that true, God-fearing scholars must answer for the global Muslim community. Can we genuinely offer our prayers behind leaders who prioritize geopolitical regimes over the truth of Allah? Islam is a religion of absolute truth. Allah will not allow His faith to flourish through the hands of hypocrites. This is why we see such humiliation facing these compromised institutions globally today. It is now the responsibility of every true believer to use their own intelligence, look past the titles, and find out who these leaders truly worship. My search for a genuine, fearless Islamic scholar to edit my book continues. I am looking for a partner who seeks the truth, who sees the real crises facing the Muslim world today, and who possesses the courage to write the solution. The pillars of true knowledge. I am not against the scholars or the imams of the masjids. In fact, my understanding of the faith is deeply rooted in the clear, uncompromising lectures of respected mainstream scholars. I regularly listen to and elaborate upon the teachings of Modiur Rahman Madani, Aminullah Madani, Dr. Abu Bakr Zakaria, Dr. Shadullah Madani, Sheikh Asim al-Hakim of Saudi Arabia, Dr. Motzafar bin Moshin. These figures stand for clarity, yet the political environment in many educational institutions is producing something entirely different. It is creating ideological idolaters. I want to repeat again. These compromised scholars look at the sky and fail to see how sustenance comes from Allah. But when money flows from foreign regimes like Iran, they see their worldly God. They have traded the commands of Allah for political funding. This brings us to a critical question that true, God-fearing scholars must answer. Can we genuinely offer our salah behind imams who prioritize geopolitical regimes over Allah? Islam is a religion of absolute truth, and Allah will not let His faith flourish through the hands of hypocrites. My search for a fearless Islamic scholar to edit my book continues. I am looking for a partner who seeks the truth and possesses the courage to write the solution. Question comes: why Saudi and other Gulf countries are unpopular in Sunni-predominant county? I talked about it in my book, The Devil Whispers. Mufti may not like that either. Let us listen a song.
The golden sun of yesterday departs. A creeping shadow settles in our hearts. The dawn of righteous living fades away as wolves awaken at the close of day. The best of generations walk the earth. They knew the weight of truth, its sacred word. The noble true companions stood so strong, but time has swept their holy age along. The devil takes his seat upon the road to make the weary drop their moral load. He swore an ancient oath to twist the guide and turn the walking traveler aside. The straight path of the Lord is clear and bright, yet darkness seeks to swallow up the light. The deceivers wake to find their modern hour, exchanging sacred truth for earthly power. A storm of deep confusion starts to brew, where ancient lies are marketed as new. The learned scholars fall to worldly pride, while broken masses wander misaligned. The hypocrite now wears a teacher's gown, spreading a subtle darkness through the town. They speak of faith but worship gold and fame, and compromise the Master's holy name. The prophet warned of times wrapped up in night, where eyes are blind to what is pure and right. A sea of trials crashes on the shore, then chaos knocks upon the stable door. The waves of severe corruption start to rise, blinding the vision of the worldly wise. The signs foretold are waking from their sleep, leaving the broken-hearted left to weep. The faithful soul must seek a hidden space to guard the fragile beauty of their grace. The messenger has left a clear decree to keep your spirit safe and truly free. When broken promises become the rule, and every public square belongs to fools, retreat into the shelter of your room to save your soul from everlasting gloom. Control the tongue and let the arguments cease. Inside the quiet home you find your peace. Accept the good that common sense can see, and leave the bad to fade and cease to be. Do not go out unless your duty calls. Find safety inside your protected walls. The public chaos is a heavy chain that brings the bleeding heart unneeded pain. Before the final hour strikes the bell, The world becomes a dark and heavy cell. The pieces of the night begin to fall, and false temptations answer every call. The one who sits at home is better far than those who run to join the chaotic war. The one who stands should sit upon the floor and close the heavy latch upon the door. So break your arrows, cut the useless string. Refuse the bitter poison hatred spring. Go strike your swords against the heavy stone, and learn to walk the path of truth alone. If violence comes to knock upon your gate, do not respond with anger or with hate. Be like the better son of Adam's line, who chose the peaceful path of the divine. The righteous people die and leave the earth, taking away the light of sacred word. They vanish in succession, one by one, like stars that disappear before the sun. The world is filled with useless human wheat that crowds the busy lanes of every street. They are the hollow husks of bitter grain, wandering blindly through the pouring rain, like dried up dates that no one wants to buy. They live beneath the gray, forgotten sky. The Lord of worlds will care for them no more, because they cast his guidance from the door. The spiritual danger grows with every breath, a moral rot that brings a living death. So build a fortress where your children dwell, and guard the holy truth you love so well. The scholars teach the balance of the mind, to live in peace but leave the traps behind. This isolation is a state of heart that keeps your inner character apart. Go feed your family, attend the prayer, but leave the internet's deceitful snare. Avoid the arguments that bring no fruit, and water every virtue at its root. Correct your sins within the private space, and seek the mercy of the Master's grace. Tend to your own affairs with steady care, and lift your hands in deep, silent prayer. Neutralize the harm you could have made by stepping back into the quiet shade. The home is where the broken spirits mend and find the presence of the ultimate friend. The twilight falls upon a world of clay, where righteous souls must turn their eyes away. The home becomes a sanctuary bright to shield the spirit from the darkest night. Break every bow of conflict in the land and hold the book of truth within your hand. The outer chaos fades to absolute peace as songs of praise and true devotion increase.
How was the song? This song carries the message of our Prophet Sa. Now continue on what I was trying to say. In Bangladesh, a quiet crisis is unfolding within the very institutions meant to guard the Islamic faith. For generations, Islamic scholars have been the backbone of spiritual life. But today, the educational environment inside many madrasas is deeply compromised. Students enter these halls to study the pure words of the Quran and Hadith. Yet, they find themselves trapped in an environment heavily polluted by political influence. The core foundation of Islam is simple: Tawhid, the belief that we must never associate partners with Allah, and that fear belongs to Him alone. But the reality on the ground has flipped. In many institutes, a toxic environment introduces students to an earthly master. Instead of fearing Allah, students are conditioned to fear powerful human beings. To survive, to pass, and to graduate, affiliation with a political party is no longer optional, it is mandatory. This is exactly where the devil finds his opportunity. By forcing students to prioritize political masters over divine commands, the system subtly pushes people toward a modern form of shirk. They end up taking corrupt authorities as their ultimate judges instead of Allah. Most people think that politicians are blamed for the systemic rot in Bangladesh. And that assessment is entirely accurate. A broken political environment has been engineered where politicians, law enforcement, and extortionists sit at the same table to divide their spoils. This political chokehold on education is creating a dangerous compromise. It raises a profound question: who is truly worse for society? An honest, flawed person like the folklore character Tin Kori, or a corrupt mufti? Tin Kori just expressed his imagination. But these mufti involved in deception. Tin Kori never pretended to be holy. He never tried to deceive the public. Listening to a flawed but honest person does no spiritual harm. But offering your prayers behind a religious leader who has compromised his faith for political power, that creates a massive crisis for the soul. Today, we see some of these so-called Islamic scholars standing on the minbar of the masjid, using their platforms to compromise the unity of the Muslim ummah. They are not ignorant of what they are doing, they are simply pretending to be blind. Through inflammatory speeches and calculated agitation, they use the sacred pulpit to deceive everyday believers. It is time to look beyond the titles and examine the environment shaping the voices we trust. Let's listen the song, The Legend of Tin Kori, and judge who is better person, Mufti or Tin Kori.
The legend of Tin Kori. My name is Tin Kori, a man of such might that stories of me give the village a fright. They call it a gossip, a tall tale, a lie, until I stand up and I blot out the sky. I pluck up a palm tree to use as a cane and stroll through the valley in thunder and rain. A beetle nut tree is the pick for my tooth. I tell you this plainly, I speak only truth. I drink from the river and dry up the bed with a crown made of clouds resting high on my head. I swallow the mist like a sweet icy treat while the fish look in wonder from under my feet. I leap over the mountains as if they were stones with the strength of 100 within my old bones. The earthquakes you feel are just dust from my shoe as I march through the forests to say hello to you. I catch the bright lightning and hold it quite tight to guide all the travelers through the dark night. I squeeze a huge boulder and turn it to gold, for the power of Tin Corey is brave and is bold.
One day as I rested beneath the green leaf, a palm fruit fell down like a plummeting thief. It aimed for my skull with a heavy thud crack, but I head-butted forward and gave it a smack.
The fruit turned to powder, a cloud of fine dust,
while neighbors looked on with a look of disgust.
They lost all their breath and they stood in a daze
to see such a feat in the sun's golden rays.
I sprinted upward like a cat in a chase and looked at the ground from a sky-high place.
Do you see me?
I shouted, my voice like a drum,
while the villagers below felt their senses go numb.
They whispered in awe as they looked at the tree.
It wasn't a gossip.
He's stronger than we. Success isn't found in the boats that we make, but in the great palms that we headbutt and break.
When Tin Corey walks, let the gossipers fly,
for the truth of a giant is seen in the sky.